last paragraph on Kuf Gimel, we'll pick up the top of Kuf Yudalid. So remember again, in the topic that we're discussing is the Mechaber suggesting that in a situation where a person encounters life adversity, so it's important to try to understand what message HaKadosh Baruch Hu is conveying to me through that adversity, and to understand that the Ribono Shel Olam often tries to teach me lessons and different ideas through the events of my life. So as much as I can't understand the Chachmas HaBorei, I can't understand why the Ribono Shel Olam does certain things, but at the end of the day, it's my job to try to intuitively derive a message for myself. It may or may not be the message that God is conveying, but I myself have to try to figure out what the message is. So let's begin. So he says, Mida kineged Mida. In order for a person to try to understand some of the nuanced hints that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to convey to me through the events of my life. So he says, and to understand about that if we understand that suffering, difficulty, setback is somehow corresponds to some level of dysfunction in my life. Whether that dysfunction is an Aveira I'm committing, whether that dysfunction is that I'm underperforming in some situation, but somehow, some way I have to understand that my Yisurim represents is a wake-up call from HaKadosh Baruch Hu for something. So in order to tap into this dynamic, Tzarech hu ladas sheHaKadosh Baruch Hu maneges ha'olam b'mida kineged mida. Person has to understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world, and we'll say in a what we call mida kineged mida, we'll call a framework of reciprocity. Framework of reciprocity. Dahainu shehayisurim mechuvanim ba'ofen kazeh shelefihem yuchal ha'adam l'da'as b'ma pagam. The Bible said that the entire Yisod is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends me difficulty and adversity in order for me to understand where I'm kind of misfiring in life, in order for me to understand where exactly again I am deficient. L'mashal, in Pagam b'mitzvah, I'm sorry, you know what, we're actually picking up, I made a mistake. Bottom of Kuf Tes Vav, excuse me. Bottom of Kuf Tes Vav. Yeah, Kuf Tes Vav, excuse me. Sorry, so good Chazara. So we left off B'maseh Shel Yosef. So it's actually bottom of Kuf Tes Vav. B'maseh Shel Yosef ve'echad, maybe Rashi come upon him. Hanhaga Shel Mida Keneged Mida. So now, again, remember, because we left off yesterday with the story of Rav Huna and the barrels of wine that turned into vinegar. So he picks up with Yosef. What happened with Yosef? B'maseh Shel Yosef ve'echad, maybe Rashi come upon him. Hanhaga Shel Mida Keneged Mida. So in the story of Yosef, Rashi brings down a number of different examples of Mida Keneged Mida. What are the Mida Keneged Mida? Yosef HaTzadik Hevies Libasam Hara Shel Achiv LaAvim Al Shlosh Yanim V'Ne'enash Mida Keneged Mida B'Shlosh Yanim Domin. Yosef went ahead and literally maligned his brothers in three different ways, and therefore the reciprocity against Yosef manifests itself in three different ways. Aleph, Amar She'echav Obrim Al Isser Eber Minachai U'Keneged Zeh Kashem Echaruhu Shachatu Seir Yizim Below Achalu Chai. So remember again, Yosef HaTzadik brought Lashon Hara. Right? He went ahead and he said to his father that his brothers are eating Eber Minachai. His brothers are eating the limb from a live animal. And therefore, again, when Yosef is sold, Dafka, the brothers make sure to go ahead and shecht an animal before taking its blood and smearing it on his coat. Beis, Amar she'echav mezalzim b'nei hashachas, v'karnim avadim. Yosef said to his father that my brothers are maligning the sons of the maidservants. In other words, they're half brothers who came from Bilhah and Zilpah and calling them servants. Yosef was wrong, and therefore, again, in punishment for this, Yosef is sold, and he's sold as a slave. Gimel, Amar Shein Chashudim Al Arayos. He said that they were suspect regarding matters of immorality. And therefore, again, he himself is ultimately suspect, or he himself is put into a situation where, again, he has the temptation to sin with the wife of Potiphar. Top of Kuf Tes Zayin. Yaakov Avinu, Ne'enash Mida Kineged Mida. Yaakov Avinu was also punished. Mida Kineged Mida. Shenikzar alav hitzta'er ulhis Abba al Yosef Chaf Beis Shanim. Kineged Chaf Beis Shanim Shebahem lo kibet es aviv ve'es imo b'tzir Yosef. So Yaakov Avinu is deprived of his beloved son Yosef for 22 years, corresponding to the 22 years that he did not properly honor his parents. Yehuda ne'enash mida keneged mida. Yehuda was punished mida keneged mida. How so? It's like a shame sherima as aviv bigdi izim ayidei shehit bil as kitones Yosef bidamo. Kach rimsa osa tamar ayidei gidei izim shebiksha sheyishlach la. That ultimately again Yehuda went ahead and deceived his father with the gedi, with the blood of the goat that he smeared on the coat of Yosef. So too again, he was deceived by Tamar. He was deceived by Tamar when Tamar disguised herself as a harlot, and then when he wants to pay her with the gedi izim, she's nowhere to be found. Shimon ne'anash mida kineged mida. Shimon was punished ultimately again mida kineged mida. Hu sheyatz lahashlech Yosef labar, because he is the one who first came up with the advice to throw Yosef into the pit. V'hu atzmo hushlach labor, and Shimon himself, when taken by Yosef, was thrown into the pit. Ache Yosef nitbesu ba'alilas chinam shel gnevas agadiyah vehem vehevinu shehem ne'anoshim mida kineged mida al she'esal Yosef. So the idea that the Mechaber is trying to do over here is just bring multiple biblical examples of mida kineged mida, of that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu punishes or HaKadosh Baruch Hu visits adversity upon an individual, all of it is done in a framework of reciprocity. So we'll say, why is this important for us to understand? Because what it does for us is the following. When I encounter adversity and when I encounter difficulty, so ultimately, again, my job is to try to figure out what does this difficulty, what does this adversity correspond to? Now again, I will say, I can't say enough. We are not the Ribono Shel Olam. So I don't understand why HaKadosh Baruch Hu does certain things. But just because I can't understand the cheshbonos of HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't mean that I can't try to understand deeper messages for myself. So therefore, again, when something goes wrong in life, when something happens, when I encounter adversity, I have to try to figure out where is the dysfunction in my life that this adversity corresponds to. And that's the mida keneged mida idea. If A goes wrong, what could A possibly correspond to in my life? I may or may not be correct, but I have to go through this process. So look, he goes on, page Kuf Tes Zayin. Machshava dibur ma'isa. It's actually quite, this is a beautiful, beautiful yisod. Baal Shem Tov Buva. So in the name of the Baal Shem Tov, it said the following. Shekasher yesh la'adam tsar miyaladav. When a person goes ahead, thank you, Aisha, when a person goes ahead and encounters difficulty, tsar, from his children. Well, I don't mean, he's not referring to that the baby's crying at night and you don't get to sleep. That's not, that's not called tsar gidul banim. That's a great sukkos. Everybody has sleepless nights over something. To have it because of a little baby is a great sukkos. What he means is mamish like tsar gidul banim. When a person has difficulty with his children, yeda shepagam eza pagam b'machshava. So we'll say this is the statement of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh. So the Baal Shem Tov says that if you are having difficulty from your kids, real tsar gidul banim, know that represents some type of pagam b'machshava. That a person has some type of deficiency in their machshavas, in the thoughts that they're having. Now, what's the connection between machshavas and children? Lachin miramzim lo biyiladav mida kineged mida ki tze'atza'av shala adam yotzim mimocho. See, Rabbi said the same way that my children are my offspring. So ultimately, again, all of the events of my life are the offspring of thought. Everything that I do in life begins with a process of cognition, a process of thought. So therefore, again, suggestive Hashem, I just want to say something. Understand, tzaddikim have a clarity in this world that us regular people do not. We spend our lives often shrouded in a lot of mystery and ambiguity because we don't understand things for what they are. Tzaddikim have clarity. So when the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh says things like this, he mamish live life with clarity. Oh, you're having problems with your children? Well, that represents that, again, perhaps I'm having problems with my machshavas. Perhaps, again, I have impure thoughts, negative thoughts. Perhaps, again, I will say that the way I behave or what I say I believe does not really match what I actually believe. And therefore, again, that flaw in my cognitive process manifests itself in difficulties with my children. My children are my offspring, so all of the events of my life are the offspring of my thoughts. He goes on, let's say a person has difficulties from his wife. So this is amazing. He says, Yeda shepagam eza pagam bedibur. This means also that probably he has some type of deficiency with his speech. What's the connection between a wife and speech? It's not what you think. It's not what you think. He says, therefore, again, let's say, therefore, double turn around. Do not turn back, right? So therefore, again, right? So therefore, what happens? So if a person has a pagam in his speech, so the merame is this with his wife. Why? He says, Ki ishto shala adam hi hanefesh. Both said this is actually a very beautiful yesod, because a person's wife is his nefesh. A person's wife is his soul. Right? This is the idea of al ken yazov ishes avavimo the davak beishto. And hopefully, and again, in a good and a healthy marriage, there's a connection there that's almost like a kesher nafshi. There's a spiritual connection. So a man's wife becomes mamish like part of his nefesh. What's the greatest manifestation of the nefesh? Speech. Speech. Meaning, if you look again, unkelos, when the pasuk says, "Vayipach ba'apav ruach chaim," that Baruch Hu breathed life into man. So unkelos translates, what does it mean? Nefesh chaim, ruach memalala. Speech. So speech is the greatest manifestation of a nefesh. Therefore, again, if my wife is my nefesh and I'm having problems, again, my wife is giving me tsar. So at the end of the day, says the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, that's indicative that there's something wrong, ultimately, again, with how I'm using my power of speech. Let's say, I'm struggling with my parnasa. That usually means that my actions are not in order. Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is showing me that my actions are not in order through my parnasa. Mida keneged mida, ki hamamon hu keneged olam ha'asiya. So my parnasa represents my dynamic activity in life. Therefore, if I have a problem with my parnasa, it could be ultimately, again, that my actions are in a state of disrepair. So we'll say, so this is incredible for two reasons. First of all, because to be able to have the life clarity of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh is dramatically amazing. And even if one, you could be a good Jew and not accept the words of the Baal Shem Tov literally. I mean, you can't be a good chassid, but you could be a good Jew. You could be a good Jew. But also, even if you don't want to understand the words of the Baal Shem Tov literally, meaning that the message is still equally profound, which is the Baal Shem Tov is building on this midah kineged midah construct. Person is having difficulty with their children. I have to ask myself, what's the story with my machshavas? I'm having difficulties in my shalom bayis, in my marriage. I have to ask myself, what's the state of repair or disrepair with my speech? Person is having struggle with their parnasa, so I have to ask myself again, what does that mean in terms of my maisim, in terms of my actions? The idea, I will say, is that our adversity and challenges in life are never haphazard. They always correspond to something that is occurring in my life, and my job is to try to understand the message that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is conveying. Also, we'll do one more section. He says, Otzar Ladas, B'yina Yisurim. Actually, you know what? We'll stop over here for today. We'll pick up in Yirtzeh Hashem, bottom of Kuf Tes tomorrow.
We didn't finish that paragraph, right?
We finished paragraph.
We finished the paragraph?
Yeah. Sure, go ahead. All right. All right, we'll say good morning. Let's begin. We have in front of us today a dramatically beautiful and riveting daf of Gemara. It's the Masechah Sanhedrin daf Gimel, the shir. The Masechah is dedicated to Le'ilu Nishmas Eliezer ben Kolamos. We hope that in the merit of of our Talmud Torah. His neshama will have a complete and enduring refuah. As Rabbi says in the Zechus Refuah Shalema, for Menachem Zev Halevi Ben Chaya, who's undergoing major surgery this morning, and in the Zechus Refuah Shalema for Esther Bas Chana. So we hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah, all the neshamas that need an aliyah will have one, and all the cholim who need a refuah will enjoy one as well. All right, Bossi, so let's continue. So we left off the ubedinhu, actually, let's li'olam kasavar. We're picking up on Beis and with Beis 2b, 4 lines up from the bottom. So remember, 5 lines up, excuse me. So remember again, just to reorient ourselves a little bit. So what we've begun to focus on now, I will say, is the incredible yisod. We're trying to figure out, the Mishnah taught us that dinei mamanis require a Beis Din of shlosha. The Mishnah then went on to discuss gzelos v'chavalos. So we were wondering to ourselves, the Mishnah Gemara was wondering, why is it that the Mishnah has to break out all of these different cases? In other words, why not just go ahead and write dinei mamanis and let dinei mamanis include everything else? Why do we need to go ahead and break out gzelos v'chavalos? And plus, the Gemara points out that there's something missing. What's missing? Hodaos v'halvaos, cases concerning loans. So remember again, I will say what the conclusion that the Gemara came up with yesterday was the idea that really the Mishnah is coming to teach me that although Hodaos and halvaos will require a Beis Din of 3 people, nevertheless, they don't require mumchin. Remember, what we're going to get into today is that not all Batei Din of 3 are created equal. There are some Batei Din of 3, which we'll call Batei Din of Hedyotos, regular people, and there are some Batei Din that are made up of mumchin, that are made up of experts. So the Gemara is suggesting that when it says Dinei Mamanis b'Shlosha, Shlosha means Shlosha Mumchin, 3 experts. Hodaas and Halvaos are not included in this list because Hodaas and Halvaos do not require experts. To which the Gemara says, Li'olam kasava ira parshios kasavkan, obedinhu nami delibo'i nami mumchin. The truth is, you should require Hodaos v'Halvaos to have mumchin as well. So we'll say in cases of loans, you should require those Batei Din of 3 to have experts as well. So why don't we require it? So why don't we require experts? Mishum Rabbi Chanina. I will say this is actually really quite amazing. Why don't we require in the case ultimately again of Hodaas v'Halvaos? Because of Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Chanina, Dvar Torah, Echad Dinei Mamanis ve'Echad Dinei Nefashos b'Jisha v'Chakira. So we'll say in reality, and again we'll get into all of this, but in reality, both Dinei Mamanis as well as Dinei Nefashos should require Jisha v'Chakira. So Dinei Mamanis is monetary law, Dinei Nefashos is capital law, capital offenses. Both should require Jisha v'Chakira. What Jisha v'Chakira? Look at the last Rashi on Beis and Beis. Jisha v'Chakira, tzarach livdok es ha'idem be'eze yom u be'eze shahalva. Both say Jisha v'Chakira means that it's not enough for witnesses to show up in Beis Din and give their testimony. Rather, what do we have to do? We have to cross-examine it is the wrong word, but rather what we have to do is we have to ask them a series of questions to make sure that their information is correct. Like, for example, what was the date that you saw this? What time was it? And other factors that corroborate their testimony. That's Jisha v'Chakira. So Rabbi Chanina comes along and says, in reality, the same way we do Jisha v'Chakira in capital cases, we should also do it for Dinei Mamanis, top of Gimel. Shnei Amar Mishpat Echad Yelochem, because the Torah says that Rabbi said there's one mishpat, meaning there's one legal system, and that same legal system that requires Jisha v'Chakira by Dinei Nefashos, by capital cases, should require Jisha v'Chakira by Dinei Mamanis. Watch this. Umatam Amru Dinei Mamanis lo b'nei Jisha v'Chakira. So we'll say, so why is it that Chazal said that when it comes to testimony regarding monetary matters, that there is no Jisha v'Chakira? We'll say, understand what this means. This means when this is Shab and Beis Din, they say, we saw Silber lend $10,000 to Ruvain. Beis Din does not ask them a series of questions. Well, what time of the day was it? Where were you? They don't ask. There's no Jisha v'Chakira. Why not? Get ready for this. Because Chazal were concerned that if there was Jisha v'Chakira by Dinei Mamanis, we'll say, what's going to happen? Want to lend money. Because it will say, if you require Jisha v'Chakira, that leaves the door open for what? For what? For human error. Because it will say, you could have a situation where witnesses testify regarding a certain event, and then what happens? And then what happens when it comes time to give a testimony? Then what? They forgot. Nothing sinister, nothing. There's no like backstory. They just simply forgot. And the problem is, their little bit of human error, which is to be expected, will cost the malvik, or potentially cost the lender, the ability to collect his loan. Take a look at Rashi. Third line down from the top, Shalotino Dallas, Sheimanu Melahalbos, Shema Yichbar. It could be that the borrower is going to deny the fact that he owes the money. Va'edim yitu, the witnesses will make a mistake. They won't remember all the details. V'lo teheh edusan mechuvemes, and therefore their testimony will not be exact. V'yafsid, and ultimately then the malveh, the lender, will lose. V'hachanami shema lo yimtza mumchin l'kol foladim. So listen to this. So the Gemara suggests the following. In reality, so follow this progression. So in reality, all testimonies should be treated the same. Capital cases, financial cases should all be treated the same, which means what they're saying. All witnesses should require judicial chakira, should require, again, thorough examination and cross-examination. And every beis din should be comprised of mumchin, of experts. However, Rabbi Hanina comes along and says that Chazal relaxed the laws by monetary law. Why? Because they were concerned that if you put too many requirements in place by monetary law, people won't lend money. Remember, again, we've said a number of times already, as it is, lending money is a not-for-profit venture for Jews. So already, again, I'm not only am I not making money, but by pashtos, I'm losing money. I could have done something else with that money. So I'm losing it. But it's okay, it's not a loss because it's a mitzvah money to another Jew. But if you're going to put obstacles in my way for collection, I'm not such a tzaddik. Therefore, again, what Rabbi Hanina is suggesting both sides is the following: that the same way that we relax the standards for Jusha v'chakira, and we don't do that by witnesses for dinei mamanis, so too, even though we should require mumchin for dayanim by dinei mamanis, we relax those standards as well. And therefore, you could use any beis din, even a beis din of Gimel Hayotos, 3 regular guys. You don't need a beis din of mumchin. To which the Gemara says, Elame'ata. We'll say, this is really, every line is like a treasure. Elame'ata, listen to this. Okay, so follow this progression. So now you're telling me, I don't need Jusha v'chakira, and I don't need mumchin. So we'll say, so now what the Gemara is saying is that to adjudicate matters of monetary law, I can go ahead and I can get a beis din of 3 regular people. Okay, if that's the case, Elame'ata, tohu. We'll say, what happens if a beis din makes a mistake? We'll say, this is going to be a big discussion we're going to have in Sanhedrin, which is judicial liability. Judicial liability. What is the liability of a judge or of a beis din if they make a mistake? They objectively make a mistake. So we'll say the halacha normally is that when judges make a mistake, again, I'm going to say in very overarching ways, but we'll get into the specifics, they are not liable. They're not liable. We'll say, why are they not liable? Because halacha essentially provides a measure of protection for every person who is operating in the capacity of his given profession. So, for example, in halacha, if a doctor accidentally kills his patient, right? Accidentally kills his patient, so there's absolutely no liability in that case. Because halacha understands that if the law doesn't protect the doctor, obviously if he's negligent, that's something else. In the scope of his work, no one's going to want to do it. And obviously, if I'm a plumber and I do a heart transplant and I go ahead and I kill the patient, I'm going to be liable, right? But again, if I'm acting in the capacity or in the scope of my legitimate field of work, there's protection. So halacha says if you are a dayan and you're adjudicating a case and you make a mistake, the law will protect you. Now, what the recourse is, we'll discuss. But Lamaisra, the Gemara suggests the following. That we'll say, under normal circumstances, we say who gets that protection, who gets dayanic, who gets judicial protection, only who? Sanctioned judges, right? Or what we would call mumchin. But Lamaisra, now that you're telling me that in dinei mamanis, what? In dinei mamanis, even non-mumchin have the ability to serve, then what do I say? Then halacha lamaisra, they should be protected by the law as well. If that's the case, to lo yishalmu. The Gemara says, no. Kol shekein atanol dalas b'fnei lavin. And we'll say, no, that's certainly not true. Why, says the Gemara? Because if there's no judicial liability, so on one hand, if I'm the lender, I'm happy that I could use a beis din of every 3 guys, right? Why? Because that makes it a bit easier for me to collect. On the other hand, if those 3 guys have no liability, I'm going to be very nervous to put my case before them. Why? Because they have no skin in the game. They have nothing to lose if they go ahead and they mess up the judgment. Therefore, the only way to ensure that they're going to do their job properly is to create some level of liability for them. If that's the case, says the Gemara, Tarti katani, dinei mamanes b'shlosha yotos, kazelos v'chabalos b'shlosha mumchin. So it says the Gemara, in essence, then what you're telling me is the following, that the Mishnah is teaching me that dinei mamanes, Dine Mamanas, which also means regular cases of monetary law, can be adjudicated by 3 regular people. Gazelos v'chavalos, but cases of theft and injury must be done with 3 experts, to which the Gemara says, Va'od, shlosha lamali. So we'll say somebody asked, so this question was asked yesterday after the shir, which is, why does the Mishnah have to break it up into shlosha? Why can't the Mishnah just go ahead and, we'll say, and group everything together? The following situations all require a basin of 3 people. Why do you have to break it up stylistically? The Mishnah says, Dine Mamanas v'shlosha gzes v'chavalos v'shlosha. Why do they need to break it up like that? Ela amar Rava tarti katani. Rather, we'll say, says Rava, the Mishnah is coming to teach me 2 different constructs. Take a look at the Rashbam for just a moment. Excuse me, Rashi, thank you. Tarti Katani, sorry. Tarti Katani, so we'll say it's almost right across in Rashi, about 2 lines down. Tarti Katani, Matzi Lameimar Dine Mamanis, Dahainu Hodas Vahalvos Bishlosha Koldu, Ugzelis Vechavalos Begimel Mumchin, Umishum de Chalukin Bedinei and Lo Kalalinu Bechad Klava. So we'll say ultimately again, Tarti Katani Mishum Drabi Chanira. Ultimately, the Mishnah is teaching me two different constructs because of Rabbi Chanina. Now look at that Rashi again. It's the second Rashi, Tarti Katani. Devadai Gimel Ba'inon, the Erev Parshos Sivkan, Umiu Behadjotos Sagi Mishum Rabbi Chanina, Vahachi Kamar, Dine Mamanis, Nahainu Haldaos, Vahalvaos, Bishlosha Yotos, Ukzelos Vachavalos, Bishlosha Mumkin. Oh, they're both saying now everything is beginning, planets are beginning to align. So we'll say, let's go with what we know. Erev Parshios. Erev Parshios teaches us what? That pretty much all of the halachos that Torah teaches us regarding judicial proceedings are all put into a chalent of Parshas Mishpatim. They're all together, and they're all to a certain degree, it looks like mixed up, but they're mixed up by design to teach you what? Whatever applies in one case applies in another case. Therefore, we'll say we learn that wherever you need a Beis Din, what do you need? 3 dayanim. Beis Din requires 3 dayanim, except when you don't. Meaning, we'll see that there are exceptions that rule, but for now, for our purposes, you need 3 dayanim. So why does the Mishnah split up the cases of Dinei Mamanis and Gezelos Vechavalos? They both like to teach us that halacha lemaisa, Dinei Mamanis, which is general monetary law, only requires a Beis Din of 3, but only a Beis Din of 3 hedyotos, 3 regular people. Why 3 regular people? The sheet of Rabbi Chanina. Chazal relaxed the standards for a Beis Din by Dinei Mamanis in order not to put additional stumbling blocks in front of lenders. However, by Gezelos Vechavalos, by cases of theft, by cases of bodily injury, you will require a Beis Din, but only a Beis Din of Gimel Mumchin of 3 experts. Rav Achamei Ravi Gamar, he said the following. He said, Midaraisa Chad Nami Kasher. So he says something amazing. He says, in cases of Hodah and Halva'ah, right, in cases of loans, even 1 dayan is kosher to adjudicate the case. How do we know? Because the pasuk says, Shneimar b'tzedek tishbot amisecha. Because the pasuk says, with tzedek, with righteousness, you shall judge your fellow. And that is a singular statement. Therefore, again, Rav Achabit Ravika says, Midaraisa, even 1 judge is enough. Take a look at Rashi again. Midaraisa chad nami kasher, b'hodah v'alva, d'chsev tishbot, lashon yochid, ve'ein erev parashos kan, u'masnisin vadai tarti katani kida amron. So we'll listen to this. So therefore, Rav Achabit Ravika wants to say that really you only need 1 witness. What about the fact of erev parashos? Erev Parshio says that you need 3 witnesses in every case of judicial proceedings, to which Rabbi Achabit Ravika doesn't hold of Erev Parshios. He does not hold that all of those laws are learned out from one another. Ela Mishum, the case, that you only need 1. That you only need 1. So why did Chazal legislate that by Hodaos v'Halvaos you need 3? Midaraisi you only need 1. So why did Chazal say that by Dinei Mamanis you're going to need 3? To which the Gemara says, listen to this. Ela mishum yoshvei kronos. We'll say, in order to avoid yoshvei, what is yoshvei kronos? We just had this in the Siyum, right? Look at Rashi. Gzer mishum yoshvei kronos. Tagrin she'imam bekim b'tiv dinin. So we'll say, yoshvei kronos. We normally assume that this means the people who are just sitting around and doing nothing all day. But actually, what he means over here refers to merchants. Shin bekin yoshvei kronos just means anyone who's not versed in the law. The yiskas achayv is chayv esazakai. I will say the concern, says Rabbi Ika, is like this. Midaraisa, 1 judge could adjudicate monetary law. The problem is, and again, you don't need mumchin, but the concern is if you just have 1, that's vesting a lot of responsibility in the hands of 1 person. That person may not be well versed in the law, and therefore what? He may end up ruling incorrectly. To which the Gemara says, okay, therefore Rabbi Ika says, get 3 judges. So I don't understand it. And if you get three, so what there aren't three Yoshei Kranas in the world. I'm saying like why does increasing the number of judges take away the concern of getting Yoshei Kranas? To which the Gemara says, because Efshar the lesbu chad the gamir. I say this is amazing. Because if you get three Jews together, it's impossible that one of them is not a Talmid Chacham. Now, of course, everyone thinks that they got Ladar, but I'm saying it's impossible that out of three, there must be at least one. And as well, say, first, we have to understand, not everybody is, it's not like people are lining up to do this kind of stuff, right? Because remember, to take the responsibility of ultimately sitting on a Beis Din, the Gemara assumes the statistical probability is, with one, you may just be getting a Yoshei Kranos. But with three, you're going to get at least the one who's going to be able to lead the rest of the group because he's going to know what he's talking about. But if that's the case, so we'll say again, same idea as we said before. If that's the case, that halacha l'maisa again, we are allowing ultimately again three regular people, even if two of them are yoshvei kranas, as long as one of them knows what he's talking about to adjudicate the case, they should have judicial protection, and therefore in the event that they rule erroneously, so the litigant should have no recourse against them. So the Gemara says no, kol shekain dinafishe yoshvei kranas. It will say if there's no liability, then everyone comes out of the framework in order to go ahead and judge such a case. In other words, it will say part of what people who are not roi to go ahead and sit on a Beis Din is the notion of judicial liability. So if I know that I'm going to be liable, I'm not going to want to go and take on this responsibility. To which the Gemara says, if that's the case, ma'ika bein Rava l'Rav Acha b'rei Ravika. So we'll say, so what exactly is the nafkamina between Rav Acha b'rei Ravika? And I will say, now there's an obvious nafkamina. Rava holds that midoraisa you need 3 dayanim. Rav Acha b'rei Ravika says, midoraisa, how many dayanim do you need? 1. But midrabanon you need 3. What the Gemara is asking here is, so what's the practical nafkamina? I understand what the intellectual nafkamina is. Rav is saying midoraisa you need 3. Rav Acha b'rei Ravika is saying midoraisa you only need 1, but midrabanon you need 3. The pashtus, in me, but mitzius, they're saying the same thing. They both say you need 3 dayanim. So what's the nafkamina? To which the Gemara says, I'll tell you. Ika beinayu, Damar Shmuel, Shnayim Shadanu Dinei Handin, Ela Shnikru Beis Din Chatzuf. So we'll say the nafkamina between them is a statement of Rav, a statement of Shmuel, which I will say we are going to get into a little bit later, which is Shmuel holds that any 2 people who adjudicated a case, in other words, if you have 2 people who acted in the capacity of a Beis Din, and they adjudicated a case, they are called the Beis Din Chatzuf. They are called ultimately, again, a Chutzpahdik Beis Din. But I will say, even though they're called the Chutzpahdik Beis Din, nevertheless, what? Their rulings stand. Their rulings stand. So ex post facto, b'di Eved, Shmuel is machshir the rulings of a 2-person Beis Din. So it says the Gemara, l'Rava Lesley, the Shmuel, Rav Acha b'rei Ravika, Islay the Shmuel. So ultimately, again, Rava does not hold of the position of Shmuel. Take a look at. So actually, don't take a look at. Rava doesn't hold of Shmuel, and Rav Acha b'rei Ravika does hold of Shmuel. So we'll say Rava who holds that midaraisa you need 3 is going to say that a Beis Din of 2, their judicial rulings do not stand even b'di Eved. But Rav Acha b'rei Ravika says midaraisa you only need 1. So if midaraisa need 1, certainly b'di Eved the ruling of 2 on a Beis Din will work. Good. Well, so let's go weiter. Again, it's amazing how much just from one block we've already gained so much. So we've already seen number 1, Erev Parshios, all of the halachos concerning, we'll call it monetary law, kind of written together. Therefore, we learn out from one to the other. We learn out that again, every situation needs a Beis Din of 3. The fundamental machlokes is which types of cases require a Beis Din of mumchin, which types of cases require a Beis Din even of hedyotos. We see the concept of Rabbi Chanina, that when it comes to monetary law, there is no question that certain normative judicial standards and practices are relaxed. Why? In order not to place additional stumbling blocks or reasons to hesitate in front of prospective lenders. We see now also a fundamental machlokes in Rava and Rav Acha b'rei Ravika. What is the d'oraisa obligation for a Beis Din? Rava is saying 3, Rav Acha b'rei Ravika is saying 1, nafkamina with the shita of Shmuel. Good. Nezek v'chatzi nezek. So we'll say the next case in the Mishnah was nezek and chatzi nezek. Nezek means damages, right? Full damages. Chatzi nezek means half damages. So we'll say again, remember You remember this from our Baba Kama days. So nezek means nezek shalim, right? Complete damage, which could be in a variety of different cases. Chatzi nezek is either by a tam, first time offender, an animal injures someone, or for that matter, tzroros, kicking up pebbles and accidentally breaking something. So again, both of those the Mishnah said require bezin of 3. Says the Gemara, nezek hainu chavalim. I don't understand. Nezek damages Rabosai is the same thing as chavalos, meaning chavalos and nezek means the same thing. They both mean personal damages. So why does the Mishnah state them separately? Mishum de kabayla misna chatzi nezek. Oh, because Rabosai, since the Mishnah wanted to dafka put out the case of chatzi nezek, half damages. So again, for our Baba Kama days, chatzi nezek and nezek always go together. Therefore, again, the Mishnah chooses to group them together as well, even though it's a shtickle repetitive. So the Gemara says, chatzi nezek nami hayu chavalos. But I don't understand. We'll say half damages is also what? Is also damages. So why isn't meaning, again, why do I need a separate grouping? To which the Gemara says, Tana mamona v'katani knasa. Oh, I will say because the Mishnah talks about 2 different categories. One is a category of mammon, and one is a category of knas. So remember again, we spoke about this extensively in our Baba Kama days. There are 2 different types of monetary payments that exist in halakha. You can pay mammon, or you can pay knas. You can pay a monetary payment or a penalty payment. So we'll say, how do you know which one is which? So very simple. A monetary payment usually corresponds directly to the damage caused, versus knas penalty payments are usually just some type of biblically arbitrary number. Like we'll get into examples over this. The Gemara suggests chatzi nezek, half damages, is a knas, is a penalty, which also makes sense because half damages is irrespective of the actual amount of damage you've done. You're only paying half. I'm only paying half. I caused twice as much damage as I am paying for. So Elamai, the Gemara says that's a knas. That's a penalty. Therefore, the Mishnah wants to talk about cases of mammon and cases of knas. Oh, I will say, this is so beautiful. It's taking us back to our Baba Kama past. That works well, according to the opinion who says that chatzi nezek is a knas. I will say, remember we saw this machlokas, but according to Mandam, it says that chatzi nezek is mammon. It's a monetary payment. It's not knas. So we'll say if that's the case, why is it included separately in the Mishnah? It's just repetitive. Ella, ID de kaboy lemisna tashlume kevel, v'tashlume arba v'chamisha dimamon. So we'll say, turn the page. Dimamon. She'eno mishtalim baroshu. So we'll say, since the Mishnah wanted to include cases of kefel, kefel means double payment. Arba v'chamisha means the 4 and 5 times penalty payment. If you steal and slaughter, you steal and shech, an ox, a cow, or a sheep. So we'll say these types of monetary payments are called mamon she'ino mishtalim barosh. What does it mean? Mamon she'ino mishtalim barosh. Take a look at the top Rashi Gimel Amud Beis. She'ino mishtalim barosh. She'mishalim yoser min hakeren. We'll say anytime. So mamon she'ino mishtalim barosh means money, or I should say payments that are above and beyond the principal. So arba v'chamisha kefel are mamon she'ino mishtalim barosh because you are paying more than the actual principal. The chatzinez, I'm finishing Rashi. The chatzinez mishalim pachos min hakeren barosh. Hainu keren d'chsev b'shalit b'shilim osa barosho. So we'll say Tana. So since the Mishnah is already talking about what kefel and arba v'chamisha, which are forms of payment that are more than the principal, Tana nami chatzinezek the mamon she'ino mishtalim barosh. So therefore, I will say the Mishnah also includes chatzinezek. Why? Because it's also an example of a monetary payment that is not, that in this case it's less than the principal. And once we're already stating chatzi nezek, half damages, so the Mishnah also includes nezek. Fine, so what the Gemara essentially answers is stylistically, I did not need to list chatzi nezek separately because it could have been learned from the other statements in the Mishnah. But stylistically, once we're already stating certain things, i.e., monetary payments that do not correspond to the principle of the item that was damaged. So therefore, we're going to include all of those cases, which includes chatzi nezek as well. Good. Says the Gemara. Shlosha minalas. We'll say. So we're going a little bit out of order here. So the Gemara says, after we've already established that you need 3 dayanim for a beis din, so the Gemara now goes back and says, okay, shlosha minala. Now we're going to drill down into the kishkas a little bit. So from where do I know that I require 3 dayanim for a beis din? The Tana Rabbanon, because it will say the rabbis thought V'nikrav balabayis el Elohim. So what happens? The pasuk says that the balabayis, right, the litigant, will come close, will approach the Elohim. I will say in this case over here, Elohim does not mean HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but rather it means the judge. It means the judge. Harikan echad. So also what you're going to see, what the Gemara is going to do over here is point out that the word Elohim is used 3 times within the same section. The Gemara is going to derive from that the triple usage of Elohim teaches me that what? That whenever you're adjudicating a case, the basic judicial unit is comprised of 3 judges. So it's like, okay, fine. So the Elohim, Harikan echad. That's one Elohim. Ad Elohim yavol dvar shneim. Right? Until the judge, both of their matters will come. Harikan shnayim. That's 2 Elohims. Judges, not gods, right? Judges. Asher yashion Elohim. Harikan shlosha. Right? The judge will find liable. This is 3. Divrei Rabbi Yoshia. So what's Rabbi Yoshia? So therefore again, Elohim is mentioned 3 times. The 3-time mention of Elohim teaches me, and this is all in the same context, teaches me that a basic Beis Din requires 3. Okay, that's Rabbi Yoshia. Rabbi Yonasan Omer, listen to this. This is really amazing. Rabbi Yonasan says, Rishon Tchila Ne'amar. No. Rabbi Yonasan says that you cannot go ahead. See what we're going to see over here is Rabbi Yonasan says you can't learn anything out from the. Are we out of coffee? Is that coffee's done? Okay, sorry. So okay, I'm gonna. Okay, so it says Rabbi Yonasan Omer. Right, so Rabbi Yonasan says the following. Rabbi Yonasan says that's a major accomplishment. How many cups is that?
85.
85 cups. Good. Good. All right, Rabbi Yonasan Omer. So let's go back there. So Rabbi Yonasan says the following. So he says Rishon Tchila Ne'amar. So we'll say he says, Rabbi Yonasan says that the first Elohim cannot be used to learn anything. The first Elohim cannot be used for anything. Why not, Rabbi say? Because he says, Ve'ein darshan tchilos. Rabbi say, this is actually quite fast. I'm going to spend some time on this today. Ein darshan tchilos means, Rabbi say, that when the Torah says something for the first time, you can't learn anything out from that. Meaning you can't use that for a drasha. Why? Because that's there for informational purposes. That's there to teach me a concept. So therefore, once it teaches me a concept, it cannot be used for additional drushos. I will say, just to understand what Rabbi Yonasan is saying is this is an exegetical principle. That this is like one of the midos through which you dash in the Torah, the ein darshan tchilos. So first time it's stated, you can't go ahead and learn something out from it. So the Gemara goes weiter. So the Gemara says, ve'ein darshan tchilos. So therefore, what do you have according to Rabbi Yonasan? Ela ada Elohim yadval dvar shneim harikan echad. So both say, so therefore, according to Rabbi Yonasan, the first pasuk or the first Elohim is taken off the table because that just teaches me the concept of Beis Din. So number 1 is taken off the table. What does that leave him with, Rabbi Say? That leaves him with Ela ad Elohim yavo shneim harikan echad asher yashin Elohim harikan shnayim. So both say Rabbi Yonasan therefore is left with 2 more psukim that both say Elohim. Wonderful. That leaves him with how many dayanim for a Beis Din? Problem, but ain't Beis Din shakol. Rabbi say everyone knows that you cannot have a Beis Din of equal numbers. Now we're going to debate this as well. You can't have a Beis Din of even numbers. Therefore, again, Rabbi Yonasan has 2 Elohims, right? 2 words, 2 Elohims, which tells me 2 judges for the Beis Din. I can't have a 2-judge Beis Din, and therefore, what? Mosifin alein od echad harei kan shlosha. Therefore, you add on 1 more judge, you have 3 judges. So both say Rabbi Yoshia and Rabbi Yonasan are both agreeing to the same principle, which is what? That the basic unit for a Beis Din is going to have to be 3 judges. Their machlokes is how to learn it out. Rabbi Yoshia darshans it from the 3 mentions of Elohim in the psukim. Rabbi Yonasan says, listen, I can't darshan that first Elohim because that's to teach me the concept of Beis Din of judicial systems. Therefore, I'm left with 2, but it's okay. You can't have a Beis Din of 2. Therefore, by definition, you have to add on 1. So I get 2 judges from the psukim, 1 judge intuitively or logically. So Neima bidarshin tchilos kamiflagi. Demar saber darshin tchilos, mar saber in darshin tchilos. So we'll say, the Gemara says, it would appear that the machlokes Rabbi Yoshia and Rabbi Yonasan is rooted in what? In darshin tchilos. Can we go ahead and make a drasha on a pasuk, based on a pasuk, I should say based on a concept, when it appears the first time in the Torah? Can you make a drasha based on a first time appearance of a concept or not? Mar Savar Darshan Tchilos. So Rabbi Yoshia holds yes, Therefore, he darshans the first Elohim. And what? Umar Savar in darshan tchilos. And Rabbi Yonasan says, no, you can't. You can't. Therefore, he can't darshan the first Elohim. It seems to be a straightforward exegetical machlokes. So the Gemara says, no. Everyone holds that what? You can't darshan tchilos, which means that the first time a concept appears in the Torah, it's there for informational purposes. You can't darshan anything extra from it. So therefore, again, if that's the case, then where does Rabbi Yoshia get his ability? So both saying one thing is clear, which is what? Rabbi Yoshia is darshaning three Elohims. If everybody holds in darshan tchilos, then what? That first Elohim should be off the table. So how does he darshan the first one? Rabbi Yoshia imki namar krav v'nikra valabayis ela shofet. Oh, Rabbi Yoshia says, if the Torah didn't want me to darshan that first Elohim, it would have just said v'nikra valabayis el hashofet, to the judge, meaning there's a simpler word to use for a judge than Elohim. Use the word shofet. My Ella Elohim. So therefore, again, I will say, why does the Torah Davka use the word Elohim over here? Because I will say it wants to make it symmetrical with the words that are used the two next times as well. Why does it want to make it symmetrical with the two other psukim? In order to what I will say, in order to teach you that these need to be darshaned as a unit. My Ella Elohim. Why does it use the same word Elohim as appears in the next two psukim? In other words, I could have just said, if Torah didn't want you to darshan it, it could have just said shofet the first time. The fact that it makes it textually symmetrical to the next two times tells you, says what Rabbi Yoshia, that the Torah wants you to look at these three psukim as what? As a unit. Let's look at them as a unit together. Shmamina lebinyana. Rabbi Yonasan will say, Lishna da'alma nakit kida amri inshi. So Rabbi Yonasan says, no, don't read too much into the use of the word Elohim. Rather, the Torah is just using a word as people normally speak. Because what do people say? Whoever goes ahead and has a matter to adjudicate, he should go before the dayanim. So I'll say ultimately again, if you look at Rashi for just a moment, it's in where the lines get short, about 4 lines in the Gabe Dayana, Eitzel Dain Haragil, below Eitzel Hedyot. So I'll say the only thing that Elohim does connote is a more experienced judge. So therefore, you should go to someone with experience. But the idea says, Rabbi Yonasan, is that you can't go ahead and darshan it. Rabbi Yoshia, Leslie based in Nota. So we'll say, I don't understand something. See, it sounds like over here that Rabbi Yoshia needs to darshan the three Elohims in order to get to a 3-person based in. But the truth is, you don't really need 3 Elohims. Why? Because we'll say, as long as you have 2 Elohims, what does that teach me? That gives me 2 dayanim. And what? You can't have a Beis Din of 2. Beis Din has to be unequal, right? Beis Din has to go ahead and be an odd number. So we'll say, so why does Rabbi Yoshia need to darshan the 3 Elohim? Does he not subscribe to the idea that Leslie Beis Din nota, that you have to have an unequal Beis Din, you have to have an odd number Beis Din? Vatanya, Rabbi Eliezer ben Rabbi Yosef Lili Omer, Ma Talmud Lomar, Lintos, or Acharei Rabim, Lahatos. So we'll say, what does it mean when the pasuk says lintos, to lean? Acharei Rabim Lahatos, you have to lean towards the majority. HaTorah Amra, Aseh Lecha Beis Din nota. You have to make for yourself, or we'll say what? A Beis Din that is able to lean. What does it mean that Beis Din is able to lean? An odd numbered Beis Din. So what the Gemara is suggesting over here is that even Rabbi Yoshia, even for argument's sake, if you were unable to darshan that first Elohim, even if you were unable to darshan that first Elohim, nevertheless, that only left you with 2, you would still end up with a 3-person Beis Din. Why? Because it was the Torah itself commands us that we have to have what we call a leaning Beis Din. We'll say a leaning Beis Din means a Beis Din that's capable of achieving a majority opinion, which can only be done ultimately with an odd numbered Beis Din. To which the Gemara says, Yehuda. Oh, let's take us watch this. Rabbi Yoshia is like Rabbi Yehuda. What is Rabbi Yehuda? Oh, this is amazing. The Amar Shivim. Oh, let's say because Rabbi Yehuda holds that no, there is such a thing as an even number Beis Din. What's the example of even number Beis Din? This number, we had this in our Mishnah. The opening Mishnah of the Masechta. Sanhedrin Gedola Haisa Shal Shivim Ve'echad. The Sanhedrin Agoda had 71 judges. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Shivim. Rabbi Yehuda says no, that's 70 judges. Shabbosai, you see over here that what? That there is an opinion out there that says that you can have an even numbered Beis Din. After you have Rabbi Yehuda going on record as saying that the Beis Din Agadol, the High Court, was made up of 70 judges. Shabbosai, it could be that Rabbi Yoshia holds like Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that you can have an even-numbered Beis Din, which is why Rabbi Yoshia Dafka needs to dash in 3 Elohims in order to teach you that you need a 3-person Beis Din. To which the Gemara says, no. Emar deshamas like Rabbi Yehuda b'Sanhedrin Gedola d'chsivi kroi. I will say maybe it's different. Maybe Rabbi Yehuda only holds that the Beis Din HaGadol has 70. Why, I will say? Because there I have a pasuk. Right there, a pasuk. I will say, what's the pasuk? The pasuk says by Moshe Rabbeinu, Chashon Baruch Hu tells Moshe to assemble 70 men. Now I will say, now the machlokes, of course, in terms of deciding how big the Sanhedrin HaGadol is, it 70 or 71? All depends on what I will say. When Chashon Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu gather 70 men, is Moshe part of the 70 or is Moshe in addition to the 70? So the nafkamina between that is the Sanhedrin HaGadol 70 or 71? So we'll say, even if you say that Rabbi Yehuda holds it's 70, so who's to say that Rabbi Yehuda holds that that's a general statement that you could have even numbered Beis Din? But they did. Maybe ultimately that's just the din by what? By the Sanhedrin, because I have a pasuk there. B'shar beidina mishameslei. Would Rabbi Yehuda hold that by any other Beis Din? Maybe you'll say, yeah, Rabbi Yehuda doesn't make the difference in the Sanhedrin HaGadol and any other Beis Din. But Rabbi Yehuda actually paskins that a Beis Din can actually be an odd number. An even number. We'll say, but we learned in the Mishnah, smichas zekenim va'arifas egla b'shlosha. That I will say the smichas zekenim. Remember, what was the case of smichas zekenim? This was the actual giving of the smicha. I'm sorry. This was the parhel amdara minat sibor. That if the Sanhedrin ruled erroneously, they have to bring a carbon. They have to do smicha on that carbon, or arifas egla, the egla arufa. The Bible said all of these cases are done with a Beis Din of shlosha. Divrei Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Yehuda Omer bechamisha. Rabbi Yehuda says you need 5. And we said, my time of Rabbi Yehuda. The Bible said, why does Rabbi Yehuda require a Beis Din of 5 individuals? To which the Gemara says, v'samchu shnai. Because we'll say Rabbi Yehuda dashes the pasuk. Pasuk says v'samchu. They will place their hands. Samchu is plural. Minimum of plural is 2. Zikne, the elders. Minimum of elders is 2. Ve'ein Beis Din shakel. So we'll say, and Rabbi Yehuda says you can't have an even Beis Din. Therefore, what? Mosif and alein odecha. Therefore, you have to add another one. Harei kan hey. Ultimately, again, we have 5. So what do you see from here? You see from here that even Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that the Sanhedrin HaGadol was how large? 70 people. Even that apparently was only a din by the Sanhedrin HaGadol based on a pasuk, because the Ribbon Shalom tells Moshe Rabbeinu appoint 70 men. But that's the exception. That's not the rule. We've seen other cases. Rabbi Yehuda goes out of his way to what? Rabbi Yehuda goes out of his way, halacha l'maaseh, to go ahead and say a Beis Din has to be an uneven number. To which the Gemara says, Rabbi Yoshia adifa with Rabbi Yehuda. The truth is, Rabbi Yoshia's opinion, I will say, is even more established than Rabbi Yehuda. How so? Neither Rabbi Yoshia b'Sanhedrin Gadol the less slug. I will say because Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold of an uneven Beis Din in a case. Excuse me. I should say Rabbi Yehuda doesn't require an odd numbered Beis Din by the Sanhedrin Gadol. B'shar beidina islay, but by other batei din, he does require for the Beis Din to be uneven. Rabbi Yoshia b'shar beidina nami leste. Also, Rabbi Yoshia could hold that even in other batei din you would not need it. Ve'ela hai lintos my avile. So we'll say, so if that's the case, what does he require? What does he do with his face? Ve'hai lintos. What does that come to teach me? From the pasuk lintos, what does that come to teach me? Mokim la b'dinei nefashos. We'll say he will use that to teach me that what? That lemaisa again nitia by dinei nefashos. I will say, man, we will explain this in greater depth. For now, take a look at Rashi. B'dinei nefashos shetekayim bo hatiyascha letova api echad kidam masdisin ve'ez ve'i havizugos lekatia b'vachos shavos. Listen to this. Salocha lemaisa, he teaches me to learn that at least in cases of dinei nefashos, I will say at least in cases of capital law, I require ultimately an odd Beis Din in order that there could be lintos. Dinei mamanis law. But I will say, according to Yoshi, he would have to say that lemaisa in cases of dinei mamanis, you would not require an odd number of days. And so I will say, we see over here another fundamental machlokes that is unfolding right in front of us, which is the nature of odd. Now we always, before you learn Sanhedrin, you take it for granted that everybody agrees that's what? That you require an odd numbered Beis Din. Now, because logically, now what do we begin to see? We begin to see that that's machlokes. And I will say, amazingly enough, what is that machlokes rooted in? The machlokes is really rooted in the Sanhedrin. Because everyone agrees, well, I should say not everybody, is machlokes, was the Sanhedrin odd or even? So if you hold the Sanhedrin is odd, you have, that doesn't sound make sense. If the Sanhedrin is odd numbered, right? Then Lemaisa, again, we understand that becomes the Beis Din paradigm, and all Batei Din are odd numbered. If, however, you hold that the Sanhedrin Agadol is even numbered, then the question is what to do with that. Does that set a precedent for other even-numbered Batei Din, or do I say that that's the exception, but the rule is still going to be lintos? Okay, so that's the machlokes that's still unfolding. So the Gemara goes right there. Yeah, we learned in the Mishnah. We learned in the Mishnah later on. That's what if you have two judges who say zakai, that the individual is innocent, and one says that he's chayiv, zakai, you go after the majority, and he's innocent. Shnaim umim chayiv. Two judges say that he's chayiv. Echad Amar zakai. One says that he's innocent. Chayiv. You go after the majority. Neima delok Rabbi Yoshia. So Rabbi say this Mishnah sets up that a Beis Din looks like what Rabbi say. That a Beis Din looks like three. That you need an odd numbered Beis Din. You need an odd numbered Beis Din. So perhaps this does not reflect the view of Rabbi Yoshia. Take a look at Rashi just a moment. Loima delok Rabbi Yoshia. Dik Rabbi Yoshia. Kevan d'shlishim mikra yalif lahu. Note that Sarich Shetehei Das Shlashton Shav. So we'll say this is amazing. What the Gemara suggests is the following: that maybe according to Rabbi Yoshia, get ready for this because this is dramatically life altering. Maybe Rabbi Yoshia will say who learns all three dayanim from Elokim. Right? Rabbi Yoshia holds that the concept of three dayanim is a daraisa. He actually holds that not only do you need odd, but you need unanimity. You need it to be unanimous. In other words, we'll say. Because understand the following. You see, the other drushos, and this is really amazing, the other drushos, we'll say, that learn three. How do they learn three? Remember, let's say you're a Yona's son. You're a Yona's son. I love how you should be so Rabbi Yona's son. Let's say for the next 30 seconds, you're going to be Rabbi Yona's son. So I'm Yona's son, right? Torah says Elohim three times. What's the problem? Can you dash in all three? No. Why? What does Rabbi Yona's son say? Ein darshan tchilos. You can't dash in the first time anything appears in the Torah. So you have how many Elohims? Two. So that gives me a Beis Din of two. But Rabbi Yosef says, no need to fear. I still know I need a Beis Din of three. Why? Why? Because again, you can't have because you need an odd numbered Beis Din to adjudicate a case. I will say Rabbi Yoshia doesn't hold to that. Rabbi Yoshia's model, the way I know that I need a Beis Din ultimately of three is based on a pasuk. The Gemara entertains a fascinatingly riveting havamina that maybe since Rabbi Yoshia is darshaning that you need a Beis Din of three from the psukim, and he doesn't just come to it intuitively. Maybe when he requires three to be unanimous in their decision makings. And maybe he holds that a Beis Din of three only works if all three are on the same page. But if you can't reach unanimity, then there is no psak Beis Din. To which the Gemara says, name of Rabbi Yoshia. To which the Gemara says, no. I feel Rabbi Yoshia. Rabbi Yoshia will learn it out. Rabbi Yoshia will learn out monetary law from a kavachomer of capital law. How so? So we'll say if it comes to capital cases, which are obviously much more intense, much more chomer than monetary law, the Torah says what? That you go after the majority. Dinei mamanis la kol shekain. All the more so, the more so when it comes to dinei mamanis, or the more so when it comes to monetary law, which obviously is not this chomer, you will go ahead and go after the majority as well. So we'll say we'll stop over here for today, but where we leave off effectively is a fundamental machlokes Rabbi Yoshia and Rabbi Yona's son, where we learn out the three judge minimum for a Beis Din. Rabbi Yoshia darshaning Elohim three times, Rabbi Yona's son only darshaning two, but understanding intuitively that you need the third. They arrive at the same place, and at the end of the day, we come to also the same conclusion. No one requires Beis Din unanimity. If capital cases can be judged by majority, then monetary cases can be judged by majority as well. Tomorrow.